Welcome everybody. Good morning or evening or afternoon. My name is Bart Haasbeek. I am based in Amsterdam and I am GEM's Head of Corporate Marketing, PR and Events. The webinar today, how to simplify your e-commerce filing process. We will start with some ground rules. The duration of the webinar is 45 minutes. All the data shown is fictitious. We will engage with you with 2 poll questions and you will receive a recording of the webinar tomorrow around this time. Everybody is on mute, so if you have a question, raise them using the tool and we will get back to you during the webinar. And if there's no time, then we will answer the question through email. And of course, you can always reach out to us via email and we will get back to you. So on the agenda today, first an introduction of the panelists. Then the first speaker will talk about achieving compliance and explain why this is a new revenue stream, exploring the new revenue stream. Then an in-depth view on the topic, the why, the what, and the how, and where are we since ICS2, what needs to be done, where we're going, etc. Then the proof in the pudding, the forwarder's perspective, rapidly expanding scene of e-commerce, and the view from an airport's point of view. Also rapidly expanding and a dedicated approach on e-commerce. This is also what e-commerce deserves with such high volumes. And then it's the key takeaways, and we will summarize the webinar. So our speakers today, we will kick off with Louise Leon, a Senior Business Support Officer at GEM, then followed by Jerome Lorig, Product Manager, Customs and Security, also from GEM, and then Nora Luo-Wahle, based in Germany, General Manager of Harvest Global Forwarding in Germany, and last but not least, Bob Matharoo, Head of Cargo at Bournemouth Airport. So, welcome panelists, welcome audience. Before we start off with the first speaker, Bob, your tagline is Cargo First. You're relatively new on the scene when it comes to cargo. Cargo First, is that with you e-commerce first? You're on mute, Bob.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for the introduction, Bart. Yeah, Cargo First is predominantly our name. It's predominantly, again, most of our business is e-commerce currently due to the market conditions. But we cater for all types of business, not only e-commerce, perishables and general cargo as well.
Yeah. So perfect. So let's hear soon from you what the percentages are, and later on in the webinar we will learn more from you how that is developing. Nora, what I will be asking you later on is, you don't need to answer this now yet, is on average, when you send a master area bill from China to, let's say, Germany, how many shipments, house area bills are there on an average master area bill in a consolidation? Let's get back to that, or do you have a quick answer already?
Yes, and generally per master area bill, we will have around 10,000 house area bill, which means the 10,000 recipients.
Okay, so that's quite a number. Let's get back to that later on, and we will have some statistics, but this is also a huge number. So let's go to our first speaker. I'd like to introduce Louise. Louise, if you could explain to us, please, why is this a revenue opportunity?
Absolutely. We are saying that this is a revenue opportunity because the e-commerce distributors can now come with their packages to an airline, solidify a specific time slot where they want to be bringing these items on board and ship them to the final destination of the consignee. Before, you didn't have that opportunity because you didn't have your products that were already pre-cleared based on the ICS2 regime. And this way, it allows you to already get past all the initial steps of procuring these products, securing yourself a good timeline with an airline in a specific time slot to ensure that your products are getting across to where they need to go. So that said, good morning and welcome to our Traction Global E-commerce, or TGE as we like to call it, webinar. As you know, e-commerce has indeed been a game changer for the logistics industry. The pandemic has only accelerated the growth of the online shopping and browsing. Seems like we're all doing that more and more every day globally. In fact, e-commerce exports assist sellers to directly sell the international customer in a more global marketplace, so allowing them to transcend beyond the borders and expand completely abroad. With e-commerce, sellers don't have to invest in a physical setup to reach customers. Instead, they can use an attractive product listing and acquire new customers internationally with ease. For aspiring entrepreneurs and growing businesses, e-commerce exports can be a very profitable model to adapt for a global expansion and increase your revenue. Let's just take this in for a minute and understand what this means. So according to the Chinese State Bureau, the Chinese sector moved 120 billion parcels in 2023. That's 120 billion parcels. 63% of that is the global express package volume, which is 5 times more than the United States, 13.3 times more than Japan, and a whopping 23.5 times more than the UK. Those are really, really huge numbers. And this is just the beginning. Chinese express shipments are growing at a rate 3 times the global average, maintaining the global increased positioning in China. It is now shipping more packages a month than it did in the whole of 2014. So that's an increase from what once was 10 billion per year to 10 billion per month. Really, really, really just huge numbers.
Louise, if I would like to emphasize this as well. So 10 billion, you are saying, a month.
Absolutely.
So for the audience, it's very difficult to imagine how much 10 billion is. At least it is very difficult for me to imagine. So 10 billion, it's a massive amount, but what it's also, it is increasing rapidly. So that is, it's already big, but it will become much bigger, and that's also something we should considering. And I put here mind-boggling because these numbers are really mind-boggling. But just wanted to emphasize that. Thanks.
Thanks, Bart. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me too, when I started looking a bit into these statistics, these numbers are just so large. I needed to get my head around 120 billion. That's just really just a lot of packages for sure.
Exactly.
So with this said, for sure, then it is estimated that the global e-commerce sales are expected to reach $6.3 trillion in 2023, that was. So the surge in online shopping has only led to an increase of the volume of shipments, putting a lot of pressure, of course, on the logistic companies to deliver faster and more efficiently. So the rise of e-commerce also, of course, presents its own set of challenges, such as managing returns, offering same-day delivery, and handling larger volumes of products and a different variety, of course. However, today, what we want to do is primarily focus on the regulation of this new business and explore how our TGE will be a game changer by facilitating and simplifying e-commerce in general. Which brings me to my question for you this morning is, how do you simplify e-commerce, you ask? So let's talk about that. If you want to have control, if you want to be ICS 2 compliant with your e-commerce business, this product is definitely for you. TGE will streamline the intake of e-commerce by allowing full visibility on what you're bringing on board, ensuring that all items have been properly declared and approved for loading beforehand as required by our ICS 2 regime. TGE will enable easy export for e-commerce distributors as well as airlines, and even create new revenue streams that many of you had not even thought of yet.
Thank you, Louise. So we will hear a little bit in more detail in a minute from Jerome. So the landscape is changing. Lots of shipments. Nora just mentioned 10,000 house error bills in one master error bill, and that's just common practice nowadays. Airports that are really set up for e-commerce with these volumes, there's a lot going on, and it will also change. And here the statistic says by 2026, 24 of the retail purchases are expected to take place online. For me, it's already much more than 24%. I only do shopping at the grocery still, but the rest, purchase online, and that's going to happen more often. So, Jerome, let's go to you. You will go into a little bit more in depth, and I think we will ask the audience a few questions first. Would you agree with that?
Yes, sure, but John, let's start with that.
Yes, okay. Let me raise then the first question, and I will launch the question now, and please answer the question, the audience. The question is, do you carry e-commerce already? You can be a forwarder also, of course, to answer this question. You don't need to be an airline. Do you carry e-commerce already? And yes, as a strategic business or sporadic overflow, or no, which is also a good answer. Maybe this is not applicable to you. So a good percentage has now already voted. I will wait a little longer. Yes, so few seconds more. Yes, there is a very good. I will close the question now and look at the result. So Jerome, the winner is 48% and 33 sporadic. But what is your view on this?
Well, it seems that it confirms what Luis was already saying. So e-commerce is a business, and it's a growing business, and it seems majority already has it as a strategic business, and some are carrying it as sporadic shipments only, but there is a chance to increase that.
Yes, indeed. So let's go to the second question. And this question is, do you already have a solution in place? Yes, you do. No, but you should. Or this may not be applicable to you. We have no votes yet. At least the system does not recognize anybody yet. So let's wait a little longer. Yes, the votes are now getting in. Thank you for that. And let me also remind you to use the tool if you have any questions. Then we will raise them later on. And Louise, maybe you can answer. You can give some feedback on the answers now.
Let's take
Because
a look.
yeah, it's quite interesting. So that's why I'm saying. And people are still voting, so let's leave it a little longer. And what is also good is the vast majority of the audience is voting. So and still climbing. So 3/4 of the audience have voted, which is quite a large number.
I'm curious for this one.
Yeah. Here we go.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think those numbers definitely speak for themselves, right? We're talking about a hidden revenue stream that many people really have not thought of. And then we're talking also about a solution to help create this revenue stream. And clearly 45% of you don't have one in place. And that's why you're here. Absolutely, TGE is that tool for you. And I'm going to let Jerome kind of enlighten you a little bit on how that can be.
Okay, let's go there then. Jerome, let's go to you and your first slide.
Well, thanks, Bart-Jan, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Some might know me already from previous webinars about ICS2, and also this one is related to ICS2 and the e-commerce filing in that regard. So happy to see everyone again, or then for the first time. As a little recap, what has happened so far and what will still happen in the European Union. So in 2021, March, the release 1 went already live back then. It introduced the preload filing for postal airway bills and express shipments. It's important to note that when the TAXUD or the European Union is talking about express shipments, they usually are referring to goods that belong to FedEx, DHL, or UPS. So that's the 3 express carriers they are usually referring the express shipments to. After that, The release 2 was supposed to go live in March 2023. I think most of us know that it actually was moved a bit into the summer. So 1st of July, it went live for the air carriers, and the 3rd of October, it went live for the self-filers for house area bill filing. The release 2 then introduced the pre-arrival filing for postal airway bills, including the receptacle numbers and also the preload and pre-arrival filing for all general cargo. We can see it on the right side in the red rectangle. It's highlighted there. It literally implies to all goods that are being carried via air. And that is where the e-commerce or so-called courier shipments come into the game, which was perhaps not considered by everyone right from the start as a information that needs to be submitted. We have in the slide also a little information about what the express shipments mean and also what the courier shipments are about. And we need to keep in mind the ICS2 project is part of a bigger program, so the Union Customs Code, and it's at the end a bit up to the member states to enforce and introduce the regulation more and more. And we can see that this is already starting to happen also for the e-commerce shipments, which are, I guess, by far not all yet reported according to the requirements and the legislation in place. Just to finalize, sorry, there is another release coming, the release 3 of ICS2, which is supposed to go live in March this year. I think there is some glitches already. For the ones interested about some status updates, there is a session hosted from the Taksut today. I think it starts at 10 a.m. CET. It will be an information session about the transition to ICS2 Release 3, which then introduces also the same regulations for all the goods imported by sea, road, or rail. So what have we done for the Release 2 in the past year? Some might be already familiar with the 2 of GEM's services, which are part of the NEO platform. The GEM NEO framework is a framework which allows us to host our services all in the same environment for the user to have the same user experience, accessing with the same login and having an easy access via a web-based application. Yes, so sorry. So what we can see here is the TGC part of the application that's in place, which allows our customers, mainly the airlines, to report the pre-arrival data for general cargo, so the master airway bills, but also house airway bills and postal airway bills. The other service in place, which was covering general cargo for preload filing. So the next slide is the TGS service, which is again part of the same application of the platform from the NEO framework, and it's running since last year and supporting the preload filing for general cargo. Now, what's missing? Well, the TGE service is missing. TGE service will actually cover the pre-arrival and preload filing for e-commerce shipments out of the same environment again. So it will be part of the same framework. Why did we see a need for a separate service? Well, that was rather easy. The trade reached out to us asking for help. We saw that the filings didn't take place according to the regulation yet. And we also saw that some of the member states are starting to monitor it more closely. The master airway bills for e-commerce shipments, Nora confirmed this in the beginning, can have a huge amount of house airway bills linked to it, which is quite different to general cargo shipments. And also there's the challenge that the e-commerce companies usually don't work with standard CRMP messages, which makes the data exchange an extra challenge. So, well, what did we do? We had an experienced team in our department, which was developing already the TGS service, which we were showing before. So that allowed us to tweak the core of the TGS preload filing application and extend it with features to comply with the ECommerce preload and pre-arrival filing. We are hosting this webinar to make everyone aware about this regulation also and the need to file the information. And we introduced an easy to follow standard for the data exchange, which is something that most companies will be capable to support also. How did we do it? Well, as usual, we collaborated with the carriers, with the importers, with customs. Special thanks also to Nora here, one of the forerunners with which we have closely worked together. And I'm happy to say that we already went live at the beginning of the week. So we are now reporting the e-commerce shipments from HV Freight on a daily basis to the ICS2 for preload and pre-arrival filing. TGE joins the family of the e-cargo services via single sign-on, and the data exchange, as mentioned, can be easily established via a very simple CSV file that can be uploaded to an SFTP server that we are hosting, and from there, everything is going fully automated. So as mentioned, TGE will now be part of the Neo platform. You will find it in the very same menu with the very same look and feel. Access via your browser. It supports. It allows. This bullet point. It allows you to manage your referrals, which is also an important feature that also TGC and TGS applications have built in. So the EU requires you to reply with specific messages whenever a referral is being assigned to one of your shipments. We have the fast monitoring. A dashboard with visualizations and traffic lights to give you an idea about the status of the shipments, if they're good to go or if they need some extra attention. And you can get consolidated reports or notifications. So users of the TGS, TGC applications already know that you can have automated notifications via email or CSN messages. Looking at the amount of data that's consumed and sent for e-commerce shipments, we decided that it's probably better to share these information in a consolidated view. So you can receive Excel reports. You can, of course, download information from the user interface. You can just monitor in the user interface. And it also allows you to share information with externals quickly. So in order to get maybe an idea about how everything is linked to each other, we have prepared a little video that I think Bart-Jan will probably
launch.
Soon.
Yes, I will launch it now. It's quite a long video, but that's good, and I will make sure that the audience will receive the video as well. There we go. I will launch it now.
Imagine you are an e-commerce importer, eager to bring a vast array of products into the EU. Exciting, right? To ensure that the goods are delivered swiftly, you contact your trusted airline partner to strike a deal to ship the goods as soon as possible. The conversation has now reached a pivotal point where the finer details are being agreed. They have explored the terms and conditions and scrutinized the specifics of adhering to ICS2 regulations.
I am familiar with ICS2. We are using the CHAMP's TGC application to file the master airway bill data at a pre-arrival time, and will also take care of the arrival announcement. We must not forget to also file each commodity information at the preload time to get the risk assessment done before loading, and at a pre-arrival time to get a complete ENS for the shipments.
Yes, indeed, we are aware of this new regulation.
Excellent. If you need a solution to be compliant, we also utilize CHAMP TGE services specially designed to handle e-commerce filings without relying on CIMP messaging. We collaborated with CHAMP to develop a solution in case the importers don't have one.
What a coincidence. We are using the same service from Champ as we were not certain if the airlines would have a solution in place on time. It is a match made in logistics heaven.
Great minds think alike. Please feel free to use your service. We know the service allows you to easily notify us in case of any referrals or critical issues automatically.
Perfect. We will start with the risk assessment and have our truck swing by your warehouse soon.
Back at our importer's office, they are using their application, which produces an Excel file output using the Champ standard template for e-commerce data collection. With a few clicks, the importer uploads this Excel file to the Champ SFTP server for easy data exchange. It can hold thousands of lines without any issues. Enter the TGE service, which picks up the Excel file and reports the required F24 messages to the EU shared trader interface. Fast and furious. The STI replies instantly, sending back an R01 message if the data is fine, or N99 message if the data contains errors. TGE promptly processes R01 messages and notifies the importer of N99 message errors. Now, it is the responsibility of the EU member states to gather all necessary information for a detailed risk assessment. After that, they are in detective mode, completing their risk assessment. While the machine is running, our importer and airline representative take a coffee break and maybe even share a tweet about TGE's excellent service. If it is good news, the member state sends the N03 message to the STI to TGE, and TGE processes the message and turns on the green traffic light. But if the response is negative, the member state sends a Q01, Q02, or Q03 do not load. TGE consumes the message, turns the traffic light to red, and sends a notification to the importer and the airline.
Look, we have received a referral. Let's check it out. TGE provides full visibility, allowing us to manage and document the case from the system.
With just a few clicks, TGE sends our O2 or our O3 messages to the STI, ensuring swift and accurate responses. The EU STI is forwarding the importer's replies to the member state. The member state has a crucial responsibility of reviewing and responding to the importer's responses. And there we have it. If all is well, the member state releases the hold, paving the way for what's next. Feedback loops are now complete as member states and STI send updates back to TGE. It is like a well-oiled machine, with TGE always on point to update its traffic lights to green. Now, TGE sends a quick CSN to the airline's core management system, giving the all-clear to unblock the shipment. Efficiency at its best.
You are probably already aware, but all goods are good to be loaded. We had an issue with one shipment.
Yes, we received the alert, no worries. We will start loading. You can do the pre-arrival filing at any time if you like. Remember to include our IORI number in your filings.
Yes, sure, TGE will cover that part also. Please include our IORI in your master airway bill filing. We will also add the harmonized commodity codes into our filing, which is mandatory.
Sure, TGC does all this automatically based on our data feed.
Back to our importer, who is now preparing for the pre-arrival stage with the new Excel file. Round 2, here we come. With data now refined, the filing process repeats flawlessly. TGE sends the F22 message. This time, there are no referrals, as the data is correct. Over at the airline, it is all systems go. The core management system is full of activity as they prepare for the flight's departure. As the flight departs, CSM sends vital FFM, FWB, and FHL data to TGC. It is a symphony of data in motion. TGC waits for the reporting timeframe before sending the F21 message for the master airway bill to STI, timing it perfectly. STI replies with our O1 movement reference numbers for the ground handling agent and sends the N03 reply message, assessment complete. TGC sends a CSN message to CSM to unblock the shipment for release, emphasizing clear communication. The goods arrive, are unloaded, and MRN is shared with the GHA. Everything is ticking along perfectly. Finally, the goods reach their destination on time. Thanks to TGC and TGE, it is a happy ending for our importer and the consignee.
We're going to the next screen. So yeah, that was a long video and we didn't lose anybody, which is great. As a matter of fact, a few people joined us during the video. And it was very clear. I could totally understand it. So that was quite good to see. I've never heard so many abbreviations, by the way. So Jerome, any comments on what we just saw?
Yes, well, the abbreviations, that's part of the customs reporting. I guess there's so many message types flowing around for specific processes. I guess that's quite normal and you have to get used to when dealing with customs. I think indeed the video gives a good overview of how a potential use case can look like, and it also makes clear that the TGE application can either be used by the airline hosting the application to allow their customers to upload the data. But TGE can also be used, as in the case from Nora, by the importers themselves to make sure that all the data is clean and good to go before even moving them to the airline.
Yes, thank you. There are a few questions already that will be addressed to you later on, Jerome. So let's talk in a minute again. So Nora, let's go to you. Could you explain a bit about the company you work for?
The company that I work for is based in Shenzhen, and we're a big freight forwarding company. And then we work with a lot of different airlines that to different destinations in the world. And since 2023, like you said, that the e-commerce business is increasing. So until now, that I would say more like 70% of the export business is mainly about the e-commerce. And because the location where the e-commerce come from, the origin are based in Shenzhen and Guangzhou, so it's South China. So it makes this many flights are from this area. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to TGE, so Traction Global E-commerce, so you are one of our launching customers, and using the system now. What is the biggest benefit for you anticipate?
The benefit of using the TGE is now that we have some like the transit shipments come through Frankfurt and then to the different destination, and then that we need to file the preloading and pre-arrival filing, and now it makes smoother and then it advances the speed for the transit.
Yeah, and time is everything when it comes to these type of shipments. So
yes, very.
Yeah. Okay. So are you anticipating on growth as well? Already a mind-boggling number of 10,000 shipments in one master. How rapidly are you growing already?
We can see that the growth is really rapidly. This is to different, like I said, different destination as more and more charters that is coming into Europe and also to America and even to South America. So I believe that this year, 2024, will be also continuously growing on this kind of online shopping, and because of also the cost of the merchandise are cheaper and then also faster. So this is a more trend to do online shopping. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. So interesting. Let's go to our next speaker. We're a bit pressing for time, which is no problem. You mentioned, Nora, charters. So I would like to also ask Bob. Bob, do you see charters more often at Bournemouth Airport?
Yes. we've actually started our cargo business with the charter business for cargo coming in from China. Bournemouth is a vibrant, well-invested airport focused on providing a flexible, cost-effective operation for all types of cargo. But I think we've started the business at the right time in regards to the e-commerce boom. As Lewis showed the figures, which are phenomenal in regards to where we are today and where we're going forward.
Yeah. So what I would like to ask you, Bob, we go back a long time, decades. So we were roaming Sandringham Road, the Horseshoe, Shoreham Road, etc. back in the day. So a lot has changed since then. If you compare Heathrow to where you are now, do you see different players in the scene because of e-commerce? Because that's what you focus on all.
Yes, I mean, there are different players in the scene right now. Again, all e-commerce based. We're seeing more Chinese, UK-based specialist e-com companies that specialize in e-com cargo from China in large volumes. I mean, these guys specialize in the customs clearance processes, which we all know can be very complicated, especially with e-commerce, with the number of house overbills associated to the master overbill. And also, arranging the final mile process with third-party companies in the UK. I mean, back in the day, there was really one final mile provider in the UK, which was mostly the Postal Authority, but we're seeing several final mile companies supporting the e-commerce products to provide a speed to market service.
Yeah, so you see those around the airport, but also shippers and specialized companies. Quite interesting. And I understand that you, as an airport, you facilitate everything. You're also doing the handling.
Yeah. So what we do is we're a one-shop stop. Our concepts and our thought process of going forward with the business to ensure that we can provide a speed to market service was to provide a one-shop stop where we control the landing, parking, fueling, cargo handling. This gives us total flexibility and total control of the business in regards to the operation, and also, very importantly for the customers is all the costs. So we can put it all into one sort of price bracket and provide a clear, precise price for our customers.
Yeah, cost and speed. I imagine the process is much faster when you have it all under one roof in one go. So thank you, Bob, for that. Let's answer a few questions from the audience. There are a few, so don't be shy and ask questions if you have them. So Jerome, what benefits do I have if I already use GEM products for filing to other countries around the world?
Well, not exactly sure if I have the right answer for the question, but TGE is now a first launch of a new service. Right now, it's connected to European Union. But of course, we can see that there is a trend to implement the e-commerce filing regulations also throughout the world. I mean, airlines or importers doing business in the US, they are aware that the e-commerce house variable filing is in place already since many years. And we are planning to extend the connection of TGE, same as we are extending the connection from TGC or TGS applications to the countries in the world that actually enforce these filings. So when you are already a user of GEM, then of course it will be very, very easy to also connect the TGE application to your environment to make it available for filing. Right now, supporting the European Union, including the Norway and Switzerland.
Yeah, the same gentleman asked this question first, so maybe I should have asked that question first. Regardless of member states' enforcement and regulations, what are benefits of using TGE already now? Or should I wait until I'm forced by a member state?
well, that's, I believe, up to everyone else to decide. In my opinion, it's always good to comply with the regulation to avoid any bad surprises. That's what I can say. I mean, it's the same as if someone is asking, should I not send preload and pre-arrival data for normal general cargo shipments until I receive maybe a penalty from the country. I think it's probably not a good idea to do that. So yeah, it's up to everyone else. At the very end, and it's the same with the e-commerce shipments. I mean, this discussion is already quite old when it comes to the reliability and liability of the filing with ICS2. Ultimately, it's the airline, and the airline needs to ensure that everything that's being carried into the territory has been cleared and risk assessed according to the legislation. That's all what we can say. We are just hosting the services to help to comply.
Yes, yeah, and to create speed and faster handling, which is always good for customer service. So the last question, with 4 minutes to go, what about sanction screening? How do we screen such a volume of data against national and international sanctions?
To that, technically, I'm the wrong one to answer that. I'm not sure if maybe Nora would have an idea how they are dealing with this, but difficult, huh? I believe.
What about sanction screening? How do we screen such volume of data against national and international sanctions? Let's get back, investigate that question more, and then go back to the person who raised it via email. Let's continue. So let's finalize and summarize the webinar. Louise, if you could take this on you, please.
Absolutely. So let's just a quick recap here. We are definitely talking about, well, Jerome is certainly reminding us of the regulation of Release 2 that was coming up a little bit before, and the Release 3 that's coming up, and how global trucks and products such as TGC, TGS, and our now new TGE will be fully integrated into our NEO platform. We have been discussing the impact of the e-commerce and the mind-boggling statistics that I mentioned to all of you before, which are just large amounts of parcels that are being moved. We certainly discussed the why, what, and how of the TGE platform and how it can help facilitate and possibly even create a new revenue stream for those of you that are interested in that. Nora has definitely come back to us and talked about the rapid e-commerce expansion. She is full proof of someone who's using our tool today of how much of that volume is actually coming out. Bob has been fantastic about exploring a little bit of what Cargo First in Bournemouth has for them as a fully integrated approach, trying to get all this e-commerce and supporting with new slots and being a one-stop shop that could potentially help any of those interested of coming through there in the UK. And absolutely, we would like to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Louis, for that. And I would also thank everybody for joining. Thank you, audience, for listening to this webinar. You will receive the video and the handout tomorrow. Thank you, Louise and Jerome, and of course, a big thanks, Nora and Bob, for participating in this webinar. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.